Okay, great. So yes, hi everyone. Thanks for inviting me to speak. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk a little bit about Bobab, who we are, what we do, as well as some of the entrenched challenges and opportunities facing science and tech-led development across Africa. Obviously, I should point out I'm not African and I'm not a bioeconomics expert, so in some ways uniquely unqualified to talk here, but I spent well over a decade working in and around the continent and have touched at various times on a whole range of bioeconomic themes. So yes, first things first. So what is Bobab? We are an event streaming and peer-to-peer networking platform dedicated to promoting African science and tech. We believe really, really strongly that science has to be at the heart of development on the continent, and we exist to accelerate innovation wherever and however we can. This includes sort of horizon scanning and promoting the latest commercial, academic, charitable innovation happening in and for Africa. And it's about making it easier for people to connect and collaborate around topics and themes that they're passionate about. And what that means day to day, us as a business is working with a really, really diverse group of clients, including venture capital funds in Kenya, universities in the UK, satellite application catapults, agricultural startups, taking complex problems and challenges and designing bespoke online events and campaigns that identify and explore the issues, help articulate and promote viable solutions, and really crucially bring stakeholders together to learn, to share, and to build meaningful collaborations. And with all of our events, with all of our campaigns, diversity is really the key. So we work really hard to make sure we bring a real range of perspectives and ideas, and we emphasize participant-led engagement. So where people have more opportunities to share ideas, to ask questions, and ultimately build more meaningful connections. That's because, at the risk of stating the obvious here, it isn't an event or a campaign that actually drives impact or change. It's people. It's the people who participate, who attend and learn. It's the people who promote themselves and their work, and it's people who have a chance to connect with someone they wouldn't otherwise have had an opportunity to meet. It's all those things that really sort of drive change, and that's sort of the motivation and inspiration for Bobab. Just a little bit about the problem. It's worth going back slightly a bit on my background. So the idea and the motivation for Bobab came about because previously I ran an international NGO called the Planet Earth Institute. We had a really broad focus of promoting high-level science and technology across the continent, and more specifically fundraising for and financing PhD level research. This involves an awful lot of campaigning as well as policy and advocacy work involving designing and delivering events. And over a 10-year period of convening all sorts of activities, I observed basically three recurring challenges that were faced by science and tech professionals working in Africa. And these are visibility, so the ability to promote yourself and your work; collaboration, which is referring to the ability to meet, connect, and collaborate with diverse groups of people outside of your immediate and local context; and then access to information, which speaks to the difficulties lots of people have in participating in, well, all sorts of groups. So it could be formal education, or it could be just, traveling and attending to conferences and events. So individually and together, these barriers present huge obstacles for people working in science and tech in Africa, and it's manifested in some of the statistics you can see on the right-hand side of the screen here. Some of the most shocking for me are around academia, and the lack of funding and support for tertiary education institutions and early career scientists across the continent. And with Bobab, our ambition isn't to fix academic funding, on the continent. That problem's way, way bigger than us. But what we can provide, we hope anyway, is a platform that makes it easy for really, really smart academics based in Africa to share their research, to promote themselves, to build connections with other research bodies. All of that can really improve their capacity as individuals and as researchers. And the same goes for the tech investment. African founders receive a tiny, tiny proportion of VC funding, less than 1%, for early stage startups. And we're not going to, redress that imbalance. It's way bigger than us. But what we can do is provide a space, a digital space, where for those startups to sort of shout about what they're doing and the problems they're solving, again, in their local context. So yes, the solution, or at least part of the solution, we hope, is Bobab, which makes it easier for people to gather, to connect, collaborate around online events, and that includes webinars, lectures, roundtables, interactive workshops. And crucially, that's, again, the event itself isn't actually that important. It's just that it acts as a catalyst in terms of speeding up the process of connection and relationship building. And yeah, just a little bit about our community, because it's essentially what makes us stand out. There are an awful lot of event management platforms out there. There are an awful lot of streaming and networking companies. However, none focus solely on the groups we serve, namely business, science, and developmental professionals. Crucially as well, I mentioned earlier, we really, really believe in the power of diverse perspectives and ideas. I mean, much like you guys here in your group. And, I think what's happening more and more is that people are waking up to the realization that government can't fix everything by themselves. Academics can't find all the answers. The private sector can't always be expected to foot the bill. Instead, what we believe and what we see happening more and more is that to solve really complex, entrenched challenges, whether that's access to universal healthcare, whether it's tackling malnutrition, whether it's securing affordable clean energy, or educating and finding employment for the hundreds of millions of young Africans joining the job market every year, you have to bring really diverse groups together. You have to emphasize stakeholders from business, from academia, civil society, and government coming together. And in our own, small way, we do this by always making sure we never have just one type of person participating in anything we do. Rather, we emphasize lateral, multidisciplinary collaboration across sectors, across specialisms, rather than narrowed, siloed work streams. And we think anyway, it's really important that we often talk about Africa in developmental terms, so it's the big developmental challenges and barriers and poverty and corruption and all these sort of things that just come to mind. And we often talk about wanting to help people, but what's really important, I think, to stress is that this isn't at all now about charity. It's not just about helping people who are less fortunate than yourself purely out of the kindness of your heart. It's about realizing actually that there's huge amounts of potential here. It's about tapping into a vast market, and it's about showcasing what it has to offer. And we believe, economists and statistics stack up. There's a huge amount to offer, more than any other region in the world. So whether you're an investor, a researcher, an activist, a policy expert, we hope you'll find something interesting with Bobab. And just, to wrap up, really, I just wanted to outline what we actually offer. So, via the Bobab platform, we're able to offer event management, marketing and streaming, networking, online chat, project promotion, and written content, essentially an integrated event streaming software platform with a ready-made and growing African audience. And finally, I just wanted to showcase some of our upcoming developments. Now, normally I wouldn't bore anyone with the details of our upcoming functionality, but I mention it because I hope it could be something that's interesting to organizations like BioLadies. In the next couple of months, we'll be launching what we call Bobab channels. And this is essentially a self-service event streaming offering, which means any organization, commercial, academic, voluntary, whatever, can come on board and create their own Bobab channel for free. And they can create their own events, whether that's sort of webinars or workshops or roundtables or whatever, manage them on our platform, but also promote them to our audience as well. So, for you guys who are perhaps looking at new ways to engage African contributors or African participants, something like this could lend itself quite nicely to you, because fundamentally what we're interested in is building an ecosystem that allows organizations doing really interesting work to find each other, to find new people and connect with new people. And really that's the motivation and inspiration behind Bobab. So yeah, I probably went slightly over time there, apologies, but that's it from me.